Okay.
Hey guys, welcome back to General Games Legacy Saturday.
Yep.
We're going into round 4 right now.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing actually a couple of 2-1s today. Yeah, so we're going to we decided kind of combo mirrors. I think were like not necessarily the most exciting Magic to watch, much as I love them.
You know, it's uninteractive, but you know, it's pretty cool. But
it's fun. But yeah,
we'll probably catch them later on anyway. So we've got a pair of 2-1s here. We have Justin Ventura on check pile.
3-1s?
Sorry, 3-1s. Forgot we were in round 4.
2-1s. They're definitely 2-1s. Okay, the screen's wrong.
We're in round 4. Disregard the screen, please. All right, here we go.
Fix that eventually.
Yeah. So Justin Ventura on check pile and Billinghurst on
D&T, the enemy. Okay. Yes. And
all right, turn 1 Ether Vial, exactly where you want to be if you're deathing and or taxing people.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be an interesting one. I think that's look, we've obviously got two very, very, very fair but grindy decks here.
Yeah, this will be a grind fest.
It's going to be, I think, like quite fun, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Ether Vial is going to make this interesting, right? So we're going to see some interesting, like, you know, flash-ins, that sort of stuff, and we'll see what kind of lines we can take here.
Yeah.
There's always a lot when there's an Ether Vial involved.
And yeah, look, D&T is going to have some interesting tricks up their sleeve coming out of that, I suspect. What's Billinghurst actually got in his hand? So he's wasting.
Wasteland.
He's been quite aggressive with that.
Not too bad when you're getting value out of your vial every turn.
Yeah, no, look, it's fine, I'm sure. It's and I guess, look, he's probably not so keen on playing the Thalia this quickly, just given the Thalia probably has less value in this matchup. Obviously, you know, Justin having a fair number of creatures, fewer spells than maybe you typically expect to see in, you know, some of the fair blue decks.
Yeah.
The Thalia isn't going to provide as much value as you might expect to see otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, it really excels in the unfair matchups, you would say. Obviously, it's still quite good at constraining mana, but when you have decks like Checkpile, which have so many 1-mana spells in it, it sort of loses a little bit of value, and you can answer it for 2 mana, effectively.
And I look, the Checkpile can also just play out long enough and just keep making land drops. And
although we did see him miss there, so...
so this is
waste.
Really...
And then the Thalia here. Okay, that's a pretty aggressive Thalia, but it makes sense given his lack of lands.
I think this probably gets really close to just stitching up the match, to be honest. It's
one of those, yep, we see a discard.
And yeah, he's playing the card that's going to be hardest for him to play. I don't think there's anything in his hand that's reasonable.
We'll see if Ether Vial goes to... Okay, so flash in Sarah Avenger... And
tick up Vial.
Still tick it up, and there's a second Vial as well. With that on 3...
Yeah, I think that's the game stitched up. So
there we go. All right, well...
All right, so...
Not quite as grindy as we were thinking, to be honest, but...
I guess that's big Wasteland.
Seen a lot of Wasteland today, do a lot of work.
Yeah, I guess, look, one of the fun parts about Legacy and one of the frustrating parts is seeing people just get Wastelanded straight out of the game. So
absolutely.
All right, so
we're onto sideboards. Unfortunately, we don't have the Death and Taxes list in front of us, but as far as Checkpile is concerned, we have a couple of Ancient Grudge, a Diabolical Edict, a couple of Flusterstorms, a couple of Hydroblasts, which is an interesting one.
Yeah, look, I think really good against like a lot of Blood Moon decks.
Yeah, the Blood Moon decks in the format. I mean, it's sort of, you know, a nod to those being a real play here today. And he's also got a couple of Hymns of Turak, a Marsh Casualties, which I imagine we might see here.
I think we'll definitely be seeing that one.
And then, a couple, 3 Pyroblasts and a couple of Surgical Extractions. So out of all those, we're expecting basically just the interactive cards that interact with, you know, the small weenie white creatures, right?
Well, look, the Ancient Grudges, because we want to deal with their equipment, and possibly Vials.
Sure.
And yeah, apart from that, just the Marsh Casualties, I think. So,
any argument for the Diabolical Edict, or is that really just reserved for games where you need to deal with True Name Nemesis?
I think True Name Nemesis or like Cheetah Fatty into play kind of decks.
Yeah.
So your Sneak and Shows and your Mono Red Sneaks and Reanimator and stuff like that.
Doesn't do quite enough work here for you. You wouldn't bring it in this occasion?
I can't think why I would want to. I would... I just feel like they're going to play out enough small creatures fast enough that when you do Edict, it's just going to be a piece of removal for whatever their worst creature is.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that's mana efficient enough.
Okay, we're seeing the hymns come in here and the forces come out. So the hymns to Shirax are an interesting one. If he hits that on turn 2, it's going to be great. But it will quickly lose value, obviously.
Yeah.
Just because, Death and Taxes is so good at playing its hand out.
I mean, Death and Taxes
still
might
thinking
also...
about those.
He's having a hard time figuring out what to cut here, and I can't really blame him. The forces lose value probably after the first turn.
Okay, so the forces back in.
So just 2, I think. He's keeping 2 forces.
It's interesting. I suppose that's a nod to, you do want the first one, but the second one, kind of sucks.
I mean, like, if you can force a turn 1 Vial, I think that's a really...
Yeah, it's a bit of a coup, really. You'd love to do it, but
yeah, and it just
you don't want to force multiple times during the game.
You probably won't get a chance to force too many times in the game. To be honest, they're going to be attacking you in a couple of different ways, and hopefully they're going to want to have a Vial. So they get to play Vial, they get to play Cavern. Between those, I think the opportunities for force is going to be a lot fewer.
Yep.
So yeah, just trimming down to just enough to give you that.
Trimming to 2 makes sense here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll have check pile on the play here, and we'll see the opening hands.
So what do we got?
Okay, so we got one of the forces in hand here, which is pretty good, along with the brainstorm shuffle effect.
Is that a Deathrite Shaman or is that a Fatal Push? That might be a Fatal Push.
Hard to see from here, but it looks like a
Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So the turn 1 force here makes this a pretty easy keep, especially because you can just tap it away.
Okay,
here
there's the Vial and the Force.
He could not do that quick enough.
Justin very enthusiastically pitching
the wrong card.
Snapcaster Mage, okay.
No, the nice RPDQ promo Snapcaster Mage there.
All right.
And he's got another one in hand. All
Is that a second Force of Will?
No, it is, yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure if he might want to bin that Force.
I think he's just got too many lands. Any playable spell is probably what's going to...
I mean, I feel like keeping the lands is probably...
So he doesn't have to shuffle them away here. It's a bit of an interesting spot because if he just draws one or more of those lands, he can actually Jace this turn.
Yeah.
But that all comes down to what happens with Port as well. He's using it for mana, and that's going to keep him off Jace as well.
And that's why I think, look, he really
This is a bit of a decision point. Okay, so now he's shuffling away and is happy to say, hey, this Jace is for later.
Yeah.
Or maybe just fuel for this Force of Will.
Well, I mean, look, if he rips another land off the... Oh, no, he's got to get 2 more land drops before the Jace is live anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay.
That Cavern of Souls is a little oppressive, but because of all the different creature types in that deck, it doesn't actually cast every creature. So it'll have to be on human or soldier.
I'd imagine it'd be on human, I think, too.
There's more humans than soldiers?
I feel... Oh, I was wrong on the Diabolic Edict. There you go.
Ah, okay. So I think Justin's playing 1 main, 1 side. So whether or not he's got 2, I'm not sure about.
Okay.
I guess it's just a matter of how much stuff can you really cut sometimes.
Yeah. We see a second Thalia, so... Justin may have accidentally drawn 2 cards. Justin
has an awful habit of ripping 2 cards instead of 1.
I think he thinks his draw steps are a brainstorm.
Yeah. we're regular rule enforcement levels here, so he just has to do the right thing and shuffle.
Yeah.
Not his first time doing this. So I've seen him do it today already.
I've seen him call a judge on himself at least twice, just in the break between the rounds.
He really does call a judge on himself every time, and good on him for doing it, because it's the right thing to do on that occasion, I think.
Absolutely. And we can see him just getting punished a little bit for keeping the Force of Will, I think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Thalia's only 2 damage a turn. We have a Snapcaster Mage in hand, so maybe we'll see a Brainstorm or something of that ilk at end step.
Fingers crossed, but I think this Recruiter is probably going to... it's going to find something that's probably going to stitch up the game. Maybe a Mirren Crusader if he's running a main deck Mirren Crusader.
Well, yeah, he might be playing it now that we're in the second game, but it looks like he's getting a Stoneforge Mystic. Just a way to get value. And we have the Thalia getting exiled there. Recovering the life lost in the attack step here, and making sure it's exactly 1 card there on his draw step.
I mean, I don't blame him after all
Probably
this.
a wise move at this point.
And look, unfortunately, from Billinghurst side, how do you feel about getting the the Stoneforge Mystic against the Colligan's Command deck?
Well, it's interesting. It really does depend on whether or not he's just trying to pull ahead on cards at the moment.
Yeah.
There's not that many options as far as, you know, avoiding counter spells on a Mirroring Crusader or anything like that. So maybe getting a 2-mana card that's going to pull you ahead is going to get you a little closer. But hard to know. And here we have the second Force Wheel on the Aether Vial.
Pitching the Jace, which he was
Pitching the
probably a little bit hopeful about casting.
Yeah, he's a long way away. There's no lands in graveyard, so those Deathrite Shamans are not really mana sources. And yeah, he's resolved the Stoneforge, so it's getting him up a card. So that's you know, good times.
So I guess
times.
the good thing also, like if for Colligan's Command to be live, I guess maybe that's what Billinghurst has seen. You need more lands in the graveyard at the moment. So
yeah, there's certainly no mana to do it at the moment.
It's looking a little tight for Justin, unfortunately.
Hey, yeah, and the other thing about it is that you don't actually have to get that artifact into play.
Yeah.
You know, so
on the flip side, Marsh Casualties.
Here's Marsh Casualties.
So fortunately, I don't think, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you feel, I don't think Michael has particularly overextended here. He's still in quite a good spot.
But getting that Thalia off the board is certainly worth it.
Absolutely.
A nice little 2-for-1 and helps him get to a point where he can stabilize and hopefully find something that's going to get him some value.
Yeah. Okay, and he's going to get wasted.
There's a Wasteland. So those Deathrite Shamans are now mana sources again.
Yep.
You know, looking on the bright side. And
a Serra Avenger.
Serra Avenger paying a life. Okay, 1 card only, and it's an island. So
okay,
what's the last card in Justin's hand here? After island,
is
he actually
Snapcaster Mage?
Snapcaster. So he's not choked off action here by any means, really. He can Marsh Casualties again.
He can Snap Edict, or he can Snap
Edict,
Brainstorm,
and he can Snap Brainstorm. What do you like here?
Snap Brainstorm for land would be what I personally would prefer to do.
Okay, so we're seeing this in the main phase here, and yeah, he's the Brainstorm.
Yep, because he needs his land drops just to make whatever else he draws for the rest of the game.
All right,
live.
So what's it got? Baleful Strix,
Leovold,
and a land. I think we're probably. I don't know. What are we talking here? Are we talking Baleful Strix into Leovold?
He's not casting either this turn. I think he's casting Leovold next turn.
Yep. Okay, so all right, so here we are. And we're casting the Baleful Strix from, you know, that we've kept on the Brainstorm and drawing the other card. Imagine if this is your sequence, the card he had second, or on top of his library would be the land, just because it can't get disrupted from his hand this way.
Yeah.
The Leovold.
I don't know if he's really worried about hand disruption against the mono white deck.
Yeah, probably not. But, you know, best practice is best practice.
True.
Ooh,
okay.
Sort of fire and ice here. That being said, the Baleful Strix can't block it, so it's in a reasonable spot. So, okay, so he's making him wait, and then now we're attaching.
Yep.
Okay, and looks like we're going to attacks.
Okay. And
shooting a Deathrite and drawing a card.
Unfortunately, I feel like that sword is going to take over the game fairly quickly from here.
Yeah, I mean, that's what that guy does, hey? Like,
yeah, it's a bit.
All right, so here's an attack from the Snapcaster Mage.
And the Strix.
That doesn't seem remotely worth it with a protection from Blue Guy, but, you know.
Yep, I mean...
You've got to do what you've got to do at this point, I think.
And I can't imagine Justin missed that either. He's normally, despite his interesting tendency to draw too many cards, he is quite a solid player. He doesn't miss too much.
Okay, so we have another card, another Deathrite down.
Yeah. And I think... I can't imagine Justin comes back from this.
Yeah, when we need Justin to draw a Fatal Push or something of that ilk to have this game continue.
Look, Colligan's Command deals with the sword and the Stoneforge, but leaves a flyer in the air. Prelate on 3 shuts that off.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the prelate's on, but I can only imagine. I named 2 apparently, so
can't do it. Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
So Sanctum Prelate only hits non-creature cards.
Non-creatures. All right. Cool. But that's Justin's seen enough, and there we go.
Stitched up fairly quickly, unfortunately.
Death and taxes gives both.
So look, unfortunately, what we were kind of hoping would be a Yeah, look, a long and interesting match, unfortunately, stitched up in 15 quick minutes, I think. So
yeah. Well, sometimes it doesn't actually, it doesn't turn out to be that grindy. Both decks are very capable of putting a clock on, and
yeah.
that's what we saw there. A clock and disruption, death and taxes. That's just what it does, and
I think
does it really well.
Leading on, what was it? Something like Wasteland into Vile into Wasteland to just keep him off land and keep ahead on mana. And
absolutely. Get your Thalias down really quickly,
yeah.
strain some mana.
It's going to be hard to come back from that, and unfortunately...
Yeah. So we're in round 4 right now, and we're looking towards we're starting to get to our cut.
Yep.
We have about 20 players in the event at the moment, and so we've got like 2 tables which are undefeated at this point, and then 1 more round left in the event. So Justin will be trying to make his way back into contention with a win next round, trying to finish 3-2.
Yeah. So and if he can pull that off, he'll be in with a chance. I think Michael might be able to, depending on his standings, just draw in. But anyway,
we'll have to see.
We'll find out who we come across in the next round.
Yeah, so we'll let you guys know when we start round 5 next up.
Fantastic.
All right.